Hi, my name is Allen Hughes, and I'm a type A or aortic dissection survivor. And I would really like to ask some questions of some people and be able to find out some answers. I've spent the last 4 years after my aortic dissection just kind of doing life. First year or so was actually kind of a fog, and now getting back into life in the last couple of years and what I'm interested in and the things that I'm interested in, what I'm doing. So um, it's kind of this my warrior story, right? And that's why I'm doing this little video. Maybe I'll get some of your stories and figure out how this all works. Anyway, my interest, I'm a musician. I'm a singer-songwriter. I love to do that. I'm sitting here in my backyard. I love family. I have 8 children, and that's from 2 marriages, and ended up with about 19 grandchildren. So I've had um, I've had some great family relationships, and the number one thing, and I'll bring this up later in the video, is family to me. As I was going into the operation, and it was an emergency dissection operation in Vegas, that it was about family that came into my mind. The most important thing to me was my family, and everything else just kind of faded away. I don't know how it was for you guys, but for me, nothing else really mattered. It was just family. And some of the other things I'm interested in are I'm a self-defense expert, so I've spent my life since my early 20s studying self-defense throughout the world and trained with the heavyweight kickboxing champion of Asia, An Yun-hwan. And I go to South Korea and train with him like on the beach in Daecheon, South Korea. And I've enjoyed that relationship and doing that, and actually figuring out what I'm going to do with that now with my life and how that actually works, and how that works for me to teach the things that I know about self-defense and create a program of life defense, how you actually use those principles in life defense. So I've been doing a lot with that. My story, so 4 years ago, I'm in Vegas, and I am with my wife, and she's at a convention, and I'm supporting her, and we're in Vegas, and having a blast. We get there a day early, and go and meet people and stuff, and then actually kind of a little bit of on the crazy side, right? I used to do some CrossFit, and so we were like, instead of taking the elevator to the 20 what first floor or whatever that was, 20 whatever that floor was, I can't even remember. We're going to run the stairs. So we ran the stairs all the way up. Um, maybe thinking back now, that might have been something that started this happening, because I had no clue that it would happen before. But ran up the stairs, took a picture. I'll have to show it to people, out on the balcony, looking over Vegas and smiling and like thumbs up, and really excited about being there, and having fun in Vegas while we're doing this business trip. And we had a wonderful evening. It was a beautiful night, and woke up in the morning. She had to get ready and for this event, and so she's getting dressed and ready, and I made a commitment to go and pick up somebody from her team that was actually there at the same convention, but staying with friends. And so they were off the strip, and if you've been to Vegas, you go off the strip and there's actual people that live in houses in Vegas. And so I went to go pick her up alone, and all of a sudden I get this severe pain in my chest, and really, really bad pain in my chest, and the tearing, the feeling, you've probably been through that. Well, I'm sure all of you have been through it. But I felt that, and also interesting thing, but in the back of my head and my teeth in the back of my mouth were just throbbing, maybe even worse than my chest was this pain of throbbing in my back molars of my teeth. And So I call my wife on the phone. I get her on the phone and I say, something's going on. I think I'm going to need to go to a hospital. I decided, since I was on GPS, to keep driving and not stop, maybe save my life, to keep driving and not stop. So I drove to the location. As soon as this lady came out, Deb, she came out, and she's all smiles and excited to get in the car and go and meet us for this event. And I said, I need to go to the hospital. Something's going on. And she was a hospital healthcare worker. She works with people that have had grief things and issues. She works in more of a counseling kind of capacity. But since she's worked at hospitals and she understood that, it was she knew exactly that there was something going on. I said, I have a pain in my chest, and so she went back into the house, which I thought was kind of weird. But I'm out there with my car, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not driving, so I take this leather bag out that has my computer and stuff in it, and put it in the back and get in the passenger side. And it seemed like forever, but she came out and she said maybe they were trying to decide if they should call an ambulance. I'm not really sure. But anyway, she gets in the car and she says, okay, we're going to this hospital. And about that time, I'm like, maybe it's nothing. We all get that thing and that thing that goes on in your brain that says maybe you should do nothing, right? Which would have killed me. So picking her up actually was another thing that probably saved my life. I just didn't go back to my room or something. But she takes me to the University Medical Center there in Vegas, and it was maybe 15 minutes or something like that. And we get in, and she pulls up, and I get out and I walk myself into the emergency room, and I go up to the guard and say, I've got something going on. There's something going on with my heart, I think. And there's something wrong. And he said, okay, took me right back. And there was this doctor there, this older doctor working the ER, and I later found out he was an ex-cop. And so he was quite different than most doctors that I've ever met. And he was very concerned, not that doctors aren't concerned, but he had kind of a real inquisitive type of attitude, not like I know it all, but more like, okay, so, what is going on? Let's figure this out. And about that time, my wife came in, and he says, well, he might have had a stroke, or, something might have happened like that. Not really sure. And I started to talk to my wife, and she said he's forgetting stuff. He's not remembering what he said just a few minutes ago. And he said CT scan. So he took me in, did a really quick emergency CT scan. It comes back with aortic dissection, and I've seen that and what it looks like, and it shows the blood coming out of the aorta. And he called up the surgeon, and there was a surgeon, Dr. Quinn Ficus, and she was at the hospital right then, and she came right into the emergency room, confirmed the diagnosis, and said you need to have open heart surgery. Now later I find out that, and you guys have had these angels in your life, so I want to hear about this. I want to really hear what you guys have with this. But Quinn Ficus was at the right place at the right time for my situation, and without her I wouldn't be alive today, because she was an open heart surgeon, is an open heart surgeon that does about 250 a year. She's married to a husband that is a open heart surgeon that does immense amounts of them. Her father-in-law is an open heart surgeon. She's done work. I guess she even did an open heart surgery for Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And so it was really fortuitous that she was actually there, and without that I'd probably be dead. So she wheels me back. They wheel me back, and I can remember, again, the last things going through my mind, right, were family, and telling my wife, I tell my children that I love them. Of course, they weren't in Vegas. They lived mostly in Utah and California, and they were on their way speedily there as fast as they could get there, but they were not there at the time. And I said, tell them I love them and I expect a lot out of them. And she said, I just repeated that over and over again. So when I've talked to people, I'm really curious about what's important in life. When you get down to this last part, you're in this situation where this is happening, what actually is the most important thing? And to me, it was family. And now I've heard from several of you and a lot of people from other circumstances, and people that have had 11 open heart surgeries, and they say the same thing: family. They say family. So it's really cool to know that, and reassuring that that's the last thing, right? It doesn't seem like anything else is important. My investments weren't important. My business wasn't important. Nothing else was important. How I looked that day wasn't important. It was all about family. So anyway, I go in. The very last thing I said, I just kind of share this with you because I'm just being open and just sharing, what happened to me. But that I told my wife, I might die of a broken heart today, but you weren't the one that broke it. And then I went into surgery. And when I woke, of course I woke, so I'm here, right? I woke, I was coming to. My family had actually gotten there, so I'd come out of the medically induced coma stuff that they do where they cool you down. And by the way, that coming out of that is the hardest thing for me, is all the tubes and everything. I'm fighting those tubes and feeling like I'm choking and really needing those out. And then once I get them out, then my throat's all dry, and then I'm so hot. I don't know if anybody else was so hot, but coming out of that ice that they, when they make you really cold, I don't know how they do I guess some sort of ice thing or cold thing, but anyway, they make you really cold. I felt so hot, and I'm just kicking off the covers and sort of hallucinating and begging for water, and they don't want to give you water, because they don't want you to throw up. And so, I'm begging for ice. Oh, please don't be that way. Just begging the nurse for water. And so they finally give you, maybe a few ice chips to chew on and to suck on. But as I wake up and I come to full consciousness, my kids are there, and I have the 4 adult kids were there at that time, and my daughter was playing the guitar softly, and a song that I'd written for her when she was a little girl. And that's how I woke up. And I thought, going into it now and looking back in reverse and what happened, I could have easily woken up meeting other people, maybe people that have passed before and, been in a different circumstance, but I was there and my kids were there, and I came out of it. Then for the last, it's been for the last 4 years, but the first year, I was just in a fog. It just seemed like I couldn't get enough sleep. I was always just sleeping, and I was taking these medications, of course, and just sitting in a chair and drifting off, just couldn't focus on anything. I'm a business person, so that was really difficult for me. It wasn't like I could take it easy. I thought, what's going on with my business and this life defense program that I'm developing and doing all this stuff and thinking that this is going to be really tough. I don't even know what to do. And I spent about a year like that, and then another year sort of a little better than that, coming out of it a little bit better and being able to actually meet people and do stuff. And one of the things that I did do when I came back from Vegas, they had me, of course, they don't like you to drive in the front seat. So my wife has this little sports car, and I was, she didn't really have room in the back seat. And so we just laid the seat down and hopefully didn't get in an accident so the airbag didn't hit me. But as I'm driving there, I drive into Utah, into the little town that we live in Utah. And there's my academy's there, the place that I teach this life defense stuff. And I have instructors that are teaching physical self-defense there. And I said, I got to stop. And she says, really? You're going to stop? And I said, yeah. So I stopped, and I got out of the car, and I walked in, and I walked on the floor, and my instructors were like, no, don't come in. Don't come in. You don't need to be here. It's okay. Of course, they knew everything that had happened, right? And I said, I just had to be here. I had to put my feet on the mat one more time, And then I went home. And so over the last 4 years, I've been working on and developing programs to use self-defense, the principles of self-defense in life and how people use them in life. And now I have several multi-billion-dollar companies that we do stress redirection things, and I work with some of the people in those companies and coach them individually. No big companies that we really work with yet as a company. And then this COVID and everything happened with that, and now here I am. We do a lot of things from video and training on video, and do electronic e-trainings and things like that. But just looking for the experiences that you've had, and actually how this has all affected your life, the warrior story. So what is your warrior story, and what is most important now after all of this, right? All this has happened. What do you do next? What's next for your life, and what's most important? And is there, I'm getting that some of us have had a fear of dying, and my fear of dying now is sort of not so much a fear of dying. It's more of, what do I do with my life, and what does this mean that I'm still here? Some of us are still in and out of surgeries, and I thought my situation was really unique, and I actually didn't connect into any aortic dissection groups at all. For the first 4 years, I didn't really even know they existed. I guess I could have looked them up, but I didn't really know they existed. And all of a sudden I come into these groups and I find these great people that have had better stories and more serious things than I have, and which I couldn't imagine. But they exist, and these warriors exist, and so what is going on in your life now? What are your biggest frustrations? What are your biggest fears? How are you dealing with it? What are you going to do for the rest of your life? How does that look? What's next for life? And that's what I'm really curious about. So I made this video. I thought, I've introduced myself a couple of times in different groups, and I thought I'd just put this video out and maybe connect with some of you, get you on the phone. You can tell me. I'd love to interview 100 warriors, right? And find out where everybody's at, what they're doing, and what they're about in life, and what they want to accomplish, and what does that look like? Because it seems like what we've gone through is really rare, and it seems to me that people don't usually survive it that well, or survive it at all. And being a survivor and being an aortic warrior, being able to be someone who's been through this, is something unique and special. And I'd like to know people that have been at death's door and now they're still living, they're still standing, they're still doing things. What are you doing with your life? What does it look like? What is it that you want to accomplish? What does that look like? Anyway, so the warrior story, and that's what I'm asking, is just connect with me. Go ahead and, down there somewhere, I don't know where to point, but go to the message and message me if you'd like to talk, or put up your own video, or just connect with me, and we'll do a conversation, or even just a message chat. Just love to know where everybody's at, and what everybody's up to, and what this looks like, because this is a powerful group of people. I don't think that whoever named the Aortic Warrior came up with that originally was brilliant, because it really is like being a warrior. I know I've worked with a lot of warriors, and you guys are the best of the warriors, because you're still here and you're still about doing something with your life, and that's super important. Anyway, talk to you soon.